All right, we're here today with Matt Niutta. I think I got that pronunciation right. From Fractel, not Fractal Running, although that is your Instagram handle, which is how I remember most people's names. So I think that's sometimes how I remember the name of your company as well.
Yeah, easy mistake to do. It's basically Fractal on its own wasn't available as a username on Instagram, so we've looped in running at the end there.
Yeah, I like that. And for those who don't know, Fractal is I guess a running headwear company. I don't know. Is that how would you describe yourself if you said Fractal is blank, like a Mad Libs? What would you say?
Yeah, for the last 5 years, it's we've been describing it as like a community-driven performance headwear brand. So that's
I
sort of
like
been
that.
our niche. We can go into it later, but basically we had a community before we had a product. So that's sort of
Mm,
where we've come from that background. But yeah, in the next 5 years, we'll be more than a headwear brand. So yeah, we're in that little transition at
cool.
the moment.
That's super exciting. Yeah, and I think and you're Australian, right? An Australian brand.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. We're a remote team, but we're based on the east coast of Australia, up in Queensland on the Sunshine Coast at the moment.
East Coast represent. We're also on the
Yeah.
East Coast.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep.
Different countries.
Yes.
Um, That's cool. Yeah. So we found out about you last year, maybe a little bit earlier than that. And I think maybe how some of our listeners became more aware of you was through my shameless promotion of the Legionnaire hat and trying to bring that back. Bring it back. I don't know if I guess was it gone or was it just never there? It's hard to say. But for those who don't know what a Legionnaire is, it's like a hat that kind of looks like a mullet in a way. Party in the back, definitely business in the front, and I guess it gets its name from the Legionnaire. Like, is it British? I don't know. Like in the Sahara Desert or something, where
E-
they had to keep their necks cool and the sun off of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep. No, that's right. It's a fascinating product, which is has been highly controversial, and thanks to your article last year or whenever it was, sort of put us on the map a little bit more than it was.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I think I wrote a thing that said the Legionnaire. It's so uncool. It's cool, which I think is accurate. How do you feel about that?
We saw that pop up, to be honest, we thought it was probably the most accurate description of the product. Like you
Nice.
either love it or you hate it, and some people, in like if you wear it, you fully need to embrace it. It's just this, I don't know, it's a conversation starter, and it's not something the average Joe
Yeah.
might just think to go and buy, but now like they're starting to catch on. People are like looking past the fact it can be extremely dorky or however uncool you want to explain it. But yes, it's super practical, but you just gotta embrace it. It's a quality piece of kit.
Yeah, but here's the deal: if you have the cape on the back, you can
Mm.
still like tuck it into the hat so it looks like a normal hat. So you're not you have both options, and I've even seen some of them. I don't know if you guys have a version like it, but it where you can unsnap the cape from the hat. I don't know that exists as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, it does definitely exist. We made the decision not to be able to remove it, just to
Mm,
differentiate between the products, and we thought, no, if you're gonna get one, you're gonna get one.
yeah, go all
And
in.
it like ours, yeah, like you said, does have the button closure, so you can do what you want with it, tuck it away, and fold it up. So, but no,
Mm.
once if you're in, you're all in.
Yeah. And I have to say, I'm excited. I think by the time this comes out, we'll have a Robbie Raccoon, my own signature Legionnaire hat, which honestly is a dream that I didn't know I would ever have come true. It's like
Yeah,
the most
to be honest,
insane thing ever. Yeah.
100%. Like, and from my perspective, I never thought I'd be making a Legionnaire with a raccoon on the front of it either.
I
It
mean,
was
life takes you crazy places, dude. You never know.
exactly, yeah, yeah. We've got a couple of crazies on our team that sort of pieced this project together as well, and yeah, we've basically, I think they're in transit at the moment. So by the time this is out, yeah, let's hope they're ready
Yeah.
and live. Yep.
Yeah, we'll have those for sale. It's going to be so you can get your hands or paws, I should say, your little scavenger paws on one. So we'll figure that out. But let me ask you something. Do raccoons exist down under, in the land down under?
I'm going to say no. We've got a lot of
Really?
other crazy animals.
Oh
I'll
yeah.
probably saying answering this wrong, but no, nothing that I've come across that looks like what I'm looking at here on the other screen that
Oh
we've mocked
man, you
up
would
for
love
you.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we've got plenty of worse animals around than raccoons, that's for sure.
Yeah, because raccoons, you can, if you really wanted to, you could keep it as a pet. I don't think you can in Maryland, which is rather unfortunate. But I believe in Pennsylvania, where I'm from, you're allowed to. And maybe I need to move back there to keep one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd
What's
love
the
to know the backstory one day. Where the whole do I want
Oh,
to
so
know? I'm
I'll
not
give it.
sure.
I'll just tell you straight up. Yeah. So on my runs, I like to look for, I don't know, trash
Yeah,
or
yeah,
things that are on the ground and, collect, which in Baltimore there's a lot. It's not, I
plenty of
wouldn't say
yeah,
it's a very clean city. And trash, and pandas in the United States are kind of known as trash dwelling creatures. Like if you leave your garbage out for the next day, you come out and
yeah,
they're nocturnals. Come out in the middle
yeah.
of the night, you could find a raccoon getting into it. So trying to steal your credit card information. But yeah, that's basically their deal. And so I think Thomas originally called me Robbie Raccoon when we were talking about, I don't know, picking up trash, and then it kind of caught on in a way,
Right.
for better or for
Okay.
worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. What are
Um.
you doing with the track? Is it a project that are you on selling it, or are you just it's a collector's thing?
So more just collecting things. Like I feel this year I've been collecting lighters and like weed packs, like empty like weed.
Yeah, yeah,
Because the
yeah,
artwork, I don't know. I kind of like the artwork on them, so I might. But I was thinking of a way. Maybe at the end of the year, I'll just like sign different ones and then send them to random people with like. Oh, I should. You know what I should do when we do
yeah. Let's
the hat? Send the hats. I'll just sign one of those. There you go.
get a free used bag of weed. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Which
brilliant.
then it'll probably get flagged in the mail and we'll get like some
Yeah,
sort of
actually, yeah,
felony charges.
yeah. That's
Um,
yeah,
no, they don't care about that here. But anyway, so yeah, that's basically the story of that, and then the Legionnaire and the hat just kind of came together because it kind of has a tail already, so it worked out.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
100%.
so let me,
Yeah.
and I do want to talk about Fractal, but I first, because you mentioned the crazy wildlife in Australia, what's something that you've come across that's like
Yeah.
dangerous or weird?
Um, yeah, come summertime, which is 90% of the year here for us on the east coast of Australia.
Uh-huh.
um, if you're going out for a run, whether it's trail or road, honestly, like 5 minutes down the road, you'll come across like a red belly black snake. So basically, they
Oh
are
yeah.
extremely venomous, and like every stick
Wow.
looks like a snake. Once you know there's a snake that has the potential to be there, so yeah, it's a serious thing. Like you're advised to, especially when you're on your own on a trail, like take snake bandages with you and have
Yeah.
have your head around first aid and stuff. So
Have you
yeah, no, it's
have you ever been bitten by a snake like of that kind?
no, no, never been bitten
Okay.
by one. Close to stepping on some, but never bitten. Have heard some
Mm,
stories, but I guess at the end of the day, you'd like to think they're more scared of you than you are of them,
for sure.
and they hear you coming. So
Yeah.
unless they're just lying in the middle of the pathway, which does happen, you hope you don't come across
Right.
it.
Have you ever seen a death adder?
Ooh, no, I haven't. Um,
Okay, because that's
and
another
there's
crazy one.
cobras over there, or there's a few different
Uh,
styles.
no, I believe it is an Australian snake, but
Mm,
it's one of the more venomous, deadly snakes in the world. But that might be, it's probably in a totally different part,
yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
Australia. But no, my kids have a snake book, and there's a lot, like half of the deadliest snakes in that book are in Australia,
From
you know?
yeah, yeah, 100%. Don't be surprised if you see a massive spider or snakes of the past in the
Yeah.
background as well. Yeah,
Man, my wife would lose her mind if she was there for more than 10 seconds. I would lose my mind from all the screaming and everything that's happening.
Well,
Um,
sometimes I'm more scared of my kids than I am of the animals crawling around the house the way
that's
they get
fair.
around. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because here, when I go trail running here, we don't have too many. In Maryland, there's only two venomous snakes, the copperhead and the timber rattlesnake. But even the timber rattlesnakes are only in the western parts of the state. Now, last year when I was in Pennsylvania in the mountains, there's a lot more rattlesnakes, and I almost did. I stopped to take a break when I was going up the Appalachian Trail, and this hiker came past, and she was like, "Watch out!" Right back there, I was clearing the trail with my walking stick, and there was a rattlesnake lying right in like under the branches in
Jeez.
the middle of the trail. So luckily, I didn't go through. Luckily, I stopped for a second because if I would have run straight through that, I would have actually stepped on it. Which in that case, it is, if you're stepping on a snake, they're probably going to go for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
No,
it
that's
was
not
out in the
ideal.
middle of nowhere too, so it would have been probably a not great situation. But
No, no, no. That's right.
we're here.
Is it bears and stuff out there as well to be cautious of, or is that more
Yeah, I
north?
mean there are black bears, but generally speaking, they're super chill. Like
Okay,
if you don't go, like I've seen them hiking and stuff, and they stay their distance. Like as long as
right.
you're not messing with their cubs um or trying to if trying to do
Feed them.
anything crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that do that kind of stuff, like or right around campgrounds and stuff like that. People leave their food out and then they become accustomed to humans. It's just not good.
Right.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
there's
Okay.
plenty of those.
Right. I'll
Um,
be.
yeah. Anyways, so let's talk about Fractal a little bit. When did the company start? How long ago?
Yeah, it was in 2018 officially. So what's
Okay.
that? We're coming up to 6 years.
Yeah. I don't think that
Yeah.
COVID years count, so it's probably like 3 years. I think that's just a blur.
Yeah, yeah, it's a blur, and fortunately for us, it was an accelerator, not the other way around. So that was good.
Same here. Yeah. Interestingly
Mm.
enough, it's in a weird way, it worked out because of the running surge during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
a lot more people came into the sport. I mean, you're seeing the tail effects of that right now, or with all the marathon registrations, like London Marathon
Oh,
getting 850,000. It's insane. Like it's so huge. And all that is a result of the pandemic, really.
yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, I could not believe it when I saw those numbers for London the other week.
It's
And it's just
crazy.
and where running's at the moment as a whole. Like, you look at it at a local level here in Australia, and the run crew, run club culture, whatever you want to call it. It's taking off, and then that's we're a drop in the ocean. And then you look at the London Marathon, and like you said, it's probably those people that joined the sport maybe through COVID, got a couple of years under their belt, and now everyone's
Hmm.
racing a major marathon, which is cool.
Yeah. No, it's definitely cool. Unless you're trying to get into one. It's
Yeah,
not cool.
yeah. Oh
Um,
man, no, it's we talk about it here. Matt and myself and my business partner, we'd love to tick off a major marathon one day, but when you see those numbers and geez, how do you get into these things? It's less and less likely.
I mean, especially with the lottery before was, I don't know, you had a 1 in 10 chance maybe. What is it
Yeah,
now? And now it's maybe 5 times that 1 in 50 chance. Yeah, it's hard to even imagine.
yeah,
And then all those people that got their 6 stars, once I'm assuming Sydney becomes the 7th star, everyone's gonna have to go for that.
yeah. 100, yeah, that'll be like it's sold out really quick because it was opened up not long ago in the last month or something, and that sold out. But I don't think it's not a major marathon this year, but it's only going to
Mm,
become yeah, it's only going to become busier as well. So that's exciting for us. That'll be
yeah.
a really cool event.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. How far is Sydney from where you are? I have zero concept of where you're at or
Yeah, it's like a not even 2 hour flight, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 15-hour drive or something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
12-hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
So it's
a
kind of
fair
like,
distance, but
it's like from here to Boston, I guess, something like that. Maybe a little bit
okay.
further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Nice.
easy.
And so okay, so started in 2018, and what was the like? What made you think, you know what, a running hat is the way to go? Because there's other brands that are doing running caps. Now I'm not sure about Australia; that might be different.
Mm.
But what made you think this is what I want to do?
Yeah, and yeah, I'll be completely transparent. In 2018, I for some medical reasons no longer was able to drive, and my mode of transport became running, and I sort of that was my outlet, and my way to commute to work. At the time, I was a surveyor, in construction, so completely different to what I'm doing now. And I knew the owner of the local run store here, Brad, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll never forget this one conversation. We were sitting at a coffee shop chatting away, and I just thought, oh, it'd be nice. Like, I had just had this passion for running all of a sudden, and this passion for community. And I had a local run club that we met on Sundays, super casual. And I kind of like had this want to create a brand. And I did a heap of research and came up with the name Fractel, which is based on a mathematical pattern, spelt slightly differently. And so I come from a maths background, and that sort of
Okay.
came up with the name, created an Instagram account called Fractal Running. And the whole concept was a platform for people to share the reasons why they run. So I ran for my mental health, and I've got a vision impairment, so it was like explaining that. And then I reached out cold to people in my community that I was like, hey, do you want to share on our blog post an interview and reasons why you do what you do? Like, we all have our own reasons, whether you're training for the Olympics or running to
Mm-hmm.
get rid of the dad bod. So it was fascinating to share those stories for 6 months. And in that time, I was chatting to the guy at the store, and he's like, oh, like, we should create a product. Like, what's a cool product to get into? And we picked hats. And this was before, won't say the name, but this was before another brand was in Australia. And we
Mm-hmm.
sort of came up with this idea. It was like, oh, let's do a hat here in Oz. So we went and sourced the materials, and to be honest, our first hat was absolutely atrocious. I don't know how we bought 100 black hats and 100 white hats, and I was so excited, but the reality was they were terrible.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter though, because we had this platform, we had this community on social media that, and our local Southeast Queensland people that knew us through running already,
Mm-hmm.
got behind it, and they sold. And there was never any intention to become a running hat brand. There was never any intention to become an apparel brand. Talking to Robbie from Believe in the Run, it was purely community driven, and I
Yeah.
was focused on my career. Like, it was just a side
I
hustle.
got you. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And it literally just snowballed. So those black and white sold. We ordered 4 new colors. They sold, and it was just so organic. For basically 3 years, we didn't take a cent out of the business. And I was working 9.5 hours at my day job, come home, have 2 kids, grind in the night, build Fractal. And yeah, three and a bit years down the line, I realized, oh shit, we've got a business.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's cool. I love
Mm.
those stories. I definitely love the. I'll say this: there's an interesting amount of people in running, and not saying that they don't work as hard, but I know of a handful of people who come from a financial background where it's like they were on Wall Street or in VCs or something, or hedge funds, and I would say they had an easier on ramp
Mm.
to starting a company, and not to say they didn't work hard and do things, but I always love the story. Like, the side hustle stories are my favorite, where you're because it means so. I know how much it means to that
Yeah.
person. Like, I know how much it means to you to work through the night to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
it's
because
real. Yeah.
you actually care about it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing
Yeah.
that.
No, it's scary. And I and it's a good and a bad thing, for your own sanity as well. Like you just it. I had a chat with someone on another podcast recently where discussing how as a founder and you live and breathe it, how it becomes your identity as well. And should the thought of it not going well is not a good thought. Like you poured everything into it for so long and had $0 given to you to build it. So you take a lot of pride in the brand, and then you see other, like you just mentioned, other businesses that have $10 million worth of funding to kickstart their performance sports brand, and you're like, oh man, like they've just gone 5 years ahead of us like that, which is hard to watch, but it is like it's the reality.
Yeah. And there's also something about it too where it's a bit of your own passion project for sure, but also you're creating this thing. Like you started with community, so you created this thing that's for community, which means you're in creating your product and selling it to people. You deeply care about creating a good product, and something that will help people in their journey in running, or just, if someone's spending their money on a hat, you want to give the best there is. And I think that's a big driver too, when it comes to, working those nights, putting everything into it, is making sure that the person at the other end is getting the best product that they can.
Yeah, exactly. And we wouldn't be here 6 years down the line if the product was no good. Community is great, but at the end of the day, if the product was not up to scratch, people wouldn't keep buying. So we've learned a hell of a lot along the way. And every single, I'm super proud, sitting next to what's coming out in the future and stuff. Like every year, it's continually improved, and we've learned a lot. Now we've got a team, and we can actually start to really make a few waves, which is exciting.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. And real quick, Fractel, the math version of the word, that has an A at the end, right? Not an E.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Because honestly, whenever I am writing about fractal hats, I'm always going back and forth in my head, because I know the math one.
Yeah.
But
it always auto corrects as well, which is frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
No, it's all good. So, and have you always been a runner, or is that something you started later in life?
Yeah, no, it was, I've always, I'm constantly told, by my granddad, who's still here today, from 3 or 4 years old, I was, super keen to, walk all the way around the block with him, and had this natural ability for sort of endurance, I guess. And played a lot of sport, played soccer my whole life, all the way through school, and, took part in cross country in high school and stuff like that, but never, soccer was my priority. So I never pursued running. I just enjoyed it and was naturally decent at it, without being, Olympic level, obviously. And then, I sort of got out of school, had a bit of a break through uni, where I got distracted and did what you do through uni, college or whatever. And,
Fair.
And then, fair. Needed that. And then, was it 2011? My soccer started, we'd play in the day, and then we transitioned as you got older to playing at night. And it was like I was a center midfielder, and I was naturally really well known for my vision, like my passing. And then Dad pulled me aside one day, and he's like, "Man, with all due respect, is everything all right? Like, you're not seeing what you used to see, in terms of passing on the field. Like, you're just missing stuff." And I didn't think much of it. And anyway, I was driving one night, and I thought, "Oh man, I'm not seeing what I should on the sign," and I've just felt a bit uncomfortable. So I took myself to an optometrist, and just thinking I might need glasses. And they basically said, "Oh, you should go see a specialist ASAP." Drove myself to the specialist appointment, and that was at 21 years old. And he told me I would never drive again, I literally parked my car from that appointment and never hopped in a car again. But
Wait,
I have a
really? That was the last time. That was the last
that was
time.
the last time I drove to the appointment. He said you don't hold the standard to meet an Australian license, and you've got to like he couldn't prescribe the condition. I had to run tests, but he knew enough there and then to say you won't drive again. And I had mum come pick me up that day. It was pretty heavy.
Whoa.
Um,
So let me ask you: did you have vision issues? Like, did you wear glasses and stuff before this, or no?
Nothing. It was,
Really?
and I still don't wear glasses. So basically, it was, long story short, diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, which is a genetic degenerative eye condition. So
Oh
no
wow.
one in my family has it, but I was 21, and he told me at 30 I would be blind, and I'm 34 now and legally blind, but I still have enough vision to I don't know run in areas I'm comfortable running, and stuff like
Okay.
that. But
Yeah, you
yeah,
just
it's
described. Hold on, you just described the camouflage snakes hidden on the path in front of you, and I'm trying to figure out how you're comfortable.
yeah. Look, when I say that, that was probably going back a few years. I definitely don't. You can ask any of my friends. I'm not running on trails anymore. I
Oh,
do my
okay,
loop.
okay.
Check my Strava. I run in the same spot.
I got you.
Yeah. So, but no, it was a challenging period. So that like running was a part of my life, and then it probably became more a part of my life when I got that diagnosis because I couldn't drive,
Hmm.
and it literally became my mode of transport alongside riding my bike there. So
So,
yeah,
so with the what was it called again?
retinitis pigmentosa, so RP for short.
And then what's the thing that makes it you lose your sight in that situation?
Yeah, so it's like a retinal disease. So it's a lot of it is mostly peripheral vision. So I
Mm.
have like a crazy amount of blind spots and less than 10 degrees field of vision. So very much tunnel vision, and even your face. Like I have really bad cataracts. So your face is like I know who you are, but it's very blurry. And I
Oh, that's
can,
probably for the better, honestly. Yeah.
well, I've got the picture of the raccoon here next to me, so I'm trying to tie the two up, and it makes sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's interesting, but it's mostly peripheral that fades over time.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that is, do you feel like you're in a race against time or something like that?
I try not to think about it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, because there is it could change a lot in the next 12 months, or it could change a lot in the next 12 years. There's no consistent rate, so I don't know, but I choose not
Do
to
you
think about it.
do you feel hopeful that there'll be something, especially with the AI, that which will have plenty of bad things, like maybe some
Yeah,
good things, like in that way will come of it? Do you feel hopeful about that?
yeah, I do. There's not, love him or hate him. Elon Musk is always up to mischief with his Neuralink stuff, and there's a lot
Yeah.
going
Right.
on. There is a lot going on in the space, whether it's in my lifetime or not. I'm not sure, but I got my kids to worry about, given it's a genetic condition as well. So I
Oh
would like to
wow.
think
Really?
at best case, if like there's no guarantee they have it, but there's a good chance they might. Um,
Yeah.
and I'd like to think by the time they're coming through this, there is
Sure.
solutions. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think about that stuff a lot because my eyes are pretty. I mean, they're honestly really bad. Like I can wear contacts and stuff, so I don't have
Okay.
a degenerative disease, but just uh, I'm pretty much at the limit as far as contact prescription goes. Like there's not
Right.
really much more much more
Hmm.
space on the end of that. So uh, I think about it all the time. I think if I was born, if I were born 200 years ago or 300 years ago, I'd be out. I don't even know where. They just throw me out in the woods or something because I'd be completely
Yeah.
useless. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's literally luck. I'm just lucky that I was born
Born
in
in
this
this
time.
era.
Because if
Yeah.
I had this
Yeah.
eyesight that I did since the age of whatever 7 or 8, I'd be done. There'd be no hope for me.
No, no. Have you gone, like, is it laser surgery or anything like that an option, or have you just opted for the contacts?
I guess it could be, but I forget. Brought it up in my last eye doctor appointment, and I forget why they said recommended against it. But yeah, I just do contacts, which is annoying, and I have other
Hmm.
like I have a lot of floaters in my eyes, which obviously isn't the same as
Yeah.
10% field of vision or
Yeah.
blind spots. It's still super annoying.
Yes.
And like I have this weird thing. It's like if somebody's like if it's there's a bright like if somebody's sitting in front of a window, like I can't see their face. Like it's like dark. I don't know.
Oh,
It's weird.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's very similar. It's all retinal stuff, and it's the high contrast between
Yeah.
light and dark is really bad. So I can relate to that one. That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, but I know, man. It's interesting to think about how you hope sometimes it feels like things are moving so fast in some technological aspects. Like,
Yeah.
uh, maybe we could cut down on the social media apps and like figure out some of the other things that are important.
Oh man, like I know these I'm running out of people telling me how many AI subscriptions I should have to sync up this and that and automate my email. Like it's unbelievable. Like that's just gone
Uh,
from 0 to 100 in the last 12 months.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like you said, like I'm sure it is hopefully going on in the background, but man, invest time and money in stuff that's putting food on the table and fixing medical issues.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
exactly. I don't know. It is interesting. I hope that with all, giant leaps forward, there's
mm.
both good and bad. And I hope the good is worth the bad, but I guess we'll find out soon enough, probably in 6 months or something.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. How, like, whether it's just a quick top side topic, like in terms of where you guys are at as a media company and the introduction of AI and copywriting and all that sort of stuff, have you guys
Mhm.
found that as a bit of an issue?
I mean, as far as competition or is just
Competition and
so
using it also in-house, but
yeah,
just
so
originality.
interestingly, yeah, we don't I think I've only used it maybe one time just to help with some I think we were writing an article on Achilles tendonitis and I just needed some like summarization of the injury.
Yeah,
Um so I used that to help me out, but I think because we're super hyper specific, like our things are like you need to run in this shoe. You know what I mean?
mm,
So it's like you actually have to run in the shoe to write the to write the review.
yeah,
That we don't use it in anything like that. But I will say, so Google just unveiled their newest iteration of AI, and what they're doing now is maybe you've noticed this when you Google a search term, it'll give you an AI result at the top now, and then
right.
link to like websites beneath that. But
Okay,
what's I've listened to a podcast this week that was going deep diving into it, and they said it's probably going to crush what's left of the news like journalism space because especially for news sites and review sites, things like Wirecutter and stuff like that. Um, if you type in what's the best mattress, it's gonna scrape
mm,
all these review sites and just throw in like here's what this is it's gonna give you a whole review
yeah,
in the top of the page, and yeah, it might link to the separate ones beneath that, but most people are just gonna say, oh, this is what I need to know. Google's probably gonna link the shop products in the sidebar or right below it, and then they're gonna be on their way. So
mm.
they're almost cannibalizing the content that got them, that made them, it's like it's kind of a betrayal in a way. Um,
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, so that's been rolled out on Google now, has it? I'll have to keep an eye out.
it is, yeah, and
Yeah.
especially I'm not as worried about it right now for us. I'm sure
Mm,
that'll come, but the news sites especially because if someone wants to find out something that's going on, these say New York Times or Washington Post or whoever they'll have their own individual articles. It'll just pull from all those. You can just read it. You can read it right
yeah,
there,
yeah.
and they won't get any of that advertising money because
Mm.
no one's going to their site now. Um, so it could be like the final nail in the coffin for a lot of news sites that are already on the
Yeah,
ropes.
it's crazy. Hey, it felt like newspapers, physical hard press was sort of not that long ago that it was sort of phased out, and it's like, are we phasing out digital as well now, like to some capacity?
Mhm.
So it's going to AI. It's crazy how it's changed so
I mean,
quick.
yeah, that's actually kind of what they're talking about. It's like it's almost phasing out the internet in some ways. Like it's the next evolution of the internet is not the internet. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just having the information right there. Like you'll never have to search through pages or go to any websites.
No, I guess like on the same hand, that is exciting for you guys and other potential companies in that space. It's having that originality and personality from you as people, but also reviews
Yeah.
that can't be reviewed without physically using products and stuff like that. Like there is that side of it that you have to physically be a part of
Right.
it.
Yeah, I think that's the one edge we have for now anyways. I mean, the thing is, I do think though, if it could scrape just from our experience to say,
Yeah.
users have found this experience, it could just take like what what you wrote
Yeah.
down. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting time. It seems like you can't even imagine enough, even as far as your imagination goes. It's so far beyond that, and it's hard to say what it'll be like even in 5 or 10 years. But I honestly though, for some things like especially you in a company where you're trying to reach certain like your right audiences, I feel like it'll for brands and things like that, tools and AI and everything will align you with, even more perfectly, hopefully, with the people that you want to reach and things like that. And also take care of like logistical and all that like tedious tasks of running a business, hopefully streamline them in some ways as well.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. There's a lot of learning in making that that work, and you can just. I feel like even with what's available, it can just go pear shaped pretty quickly in terms of like something as simple as captions for Instagram posts or email responses and stuff like that. Like people, with anyone who's got their head screwed on properly, can read and see straight through that, and you could ruin the brand pretty quick by just copy and pasting from ChatGPT.
Yeah, that is one of the things that, and I'm sure again probably get better and better, but it is one of those things you jeopardize because if you are we were using we use Adobe to edit photos like everyone and Photoshop or Lightroom, and they have a feature where you can basically say, oh, I want this shoe to be, it's a trail shoe. We live in Baltimore. We still take the photos in the woods or whatever, but if it just comes in the office and we say, look, we want this to look like it's on the Oregon coast or whatever, it puts it there exactly. Like you would have no idea. Like you really wouldn't.
Yeah.
And we like mocked one up one time just to see it, like what it would look like. And it looks amazing. Like you would never know. And I was like, we can't do this because if you do it once and then people find out that it's all just AI generated, like you lose credibility forever, So we didn't, but if you wanted to like legit, I don't know why people don't do this. I'm throwing this out there, but someone's going to do it. But if you wanted to be a shoefluencer or whatever, instead of stealing other people's photos, literally just get an Adobe subscription, pull the shoes off people's websites, like, or leaked photos that you find on Reddit, put them in just different places around the world with AI, and then just post it to Instagram, and you'll
build
that's all you have
platform.
to do.
Yeah.
I think it's dumb, but someone will probably like to do it.
Someone will do it. It's funny you mentioned that actually, because you might have to scroll down maybe 20 or 30 photos or something on our feed. It was April 1st for April Fool's Day. I went onto one of the AI platforms and I typed. We've got this concept we're working on where it's a combination of a Legionnaire and a bucket hat, sort of this full adventure all day hat. And I plugged all these features into ChatGPT and it spat out this render of this.
Oh, I remember seeing those.
It was incredible. Like it took a few to get it to that point, but it created, the lighting was really cool. It had some really funky features on it that aren't realistic, but it was kind of like testing the market without, it was trying to be obvious that it was AI, but people were like, oh man, where do I buy one? It was incredible.
It looked kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
And as a starting point or reference, like I was like, wow, that's powerful.
It is an interesting thing because even Okay, so here's a way that if you are a small company, I guess it could help you. And yeah, it's not real, but if you say you do have a Legionnaire or you're making something specific to the sun or the beach or the ocean, and you're like, man, we need to do a photo shoot over here,
Mm,
but we're a small brand. We're two people. We're bootstrapping it. We have, $500 in cash on us at the moment. There's no way we can both take off 5 days to fly out to, wherever to take photos.
yeah.
There's no where. Say you want to do something with mountains. Where you guys like? How far where would you have to go for that?
Oh, we've got a little range. It's not even 1,000 meters. It's probably 300 meters high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably have to go down to Sydney or Victoria, like the Blue Mountains in Sydney or something like that.
Okay. But like, if you want to go like a place that had real mountains, like Colorado or something, it'd be like
Oh,
almost.
it's a few hours away, but on a plane plus all the
Yeah.
rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, so say you have a company and you're like, man, I would love to put our product in these places. I don't really have the money, but you wanted, and you just did it on, Adobe or whatever.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
works. I mean, it
Yeah.
works. I don't know. I don't know if that's authentic or not. I guess it's an argument you could have, but
Yeah, well, I've seen some like you're not getting the human being aspect in that it's a product specific photo. I'm assuming so. Until
right.
I don't know, some of those human renders I've seen come out are pretty funky, pretty freaky.
Well, I
So,
just meant if you take a picture of, say, like a runner actually
oh,
wearing it,
okay,
but then put them in a setting that looks like they're,
ah,
trail running or whatever, you could easily do that.
okay,
Honestly,
yeah.
I wonder if there's people doing it right now that like even like bigger brands that we don't even know about. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I'll have to do some research. Well, 'cause, we don't get snow here, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, well, we've barely
Exactly.
had a winter product. It's like, oh, okay, maybe we could extract this person and put them in the snow. Well, we'll see.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So in that way, I think it could be good in a way. I don't know. It's hard to say. It
mm,
depends what your viewpoint is.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, so I do like with your hats too, is that you use some really nice ingredients. You do the polar tech. Uh, you use like recycled materials. It's like everything in your hats are premium ingredients, which is pretty cool. Um, is
Yeah,
that is that kind of like something that you're pretty passionate about? Is like using the best quality stuff in a hat? Because honestly, your hats, they're not cheap. Like they're not cheap as far as hats go. You can
mm,
get a Brooks or Nike running hat for $20 at the outlets here or whatever.
yeah,
Um, but yours are definitely in that 40, is it like 45 to 60 range, something like that, US dollars?
yeah, yeah. No, exactly. I suppose like we've we've tried to be a sustainable brand from the start, and while we at the beginning we couldn't afford minimum orders
Hmm.
on recycled fabrics, so we jumped on board with 1% for the planet. So we donate 1% of our revenues to non-profits that protect the trails that we run, basically here in Australia and in the States now with Runners for
No,
Public
that's cool.
Lands. So that's a really cool partnership. And as we've grown, yeah, we've locked down a lot of recycled poly and all our stuff now, and like partnerships with Reprieve and partnerships with Polartech. We've got some Italian mills stuff coming out now as well. So from my perspective, who doesn't come from uh, prior to having someone in house that knows what they're doing, but I was winging it, and I didn't like the fact I didn't know where product like material was coming from. So that's why we've gone to reputable. That's why we've gone to Polytech, and that's why we've gone to Reprieve, because I know what I'm getting, and I hated the thought of not knowing what was going into the hat that I was selling and or wearing myself.
Hmm.
So it's like, okay, now I know where all the ingredients are coming from. As long as we've got a good um, factory that can cut and sew it all together, we're onto
Hmm.
something good. And I think having that price point at where we've been, it's been, but yeah, will always be more expensive than your Nike and two times you and whatever.
Right.
But we're going to be less. We've got this little bracket that we're in that's less than a lot of the other brands that are selling in similar sort of styles. So yeah, we've got this nice little niche at the moment that we're still trying to provide the most premium product we can, but we're not selling 10 times cost price.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's like not like the craziest profit margins. You're doing it as a,
yeah, like, oh, we've got to run a business, but no, we're
right.
like,
Right.
we also we don't want to be that high end fashion brand selling hats for $300. We want
Mhm.
to have the best possible product for the everyday person that is out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
If we're an everyday person brand. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. I wanted to ask you when you started, since you started out not coming from either the run industry or the apparel side, do you feel like you're an outsider in the industry or an underdog, or do you feel like you you belong? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't
Mm.
know. I'm just trying to figure out like where do you feel like as a person, like how you fit into the industry?
Yeah, it's some people say we fit right in. Other people will say we're an outsider.
Hmm.
And personally, I feel we've had the underdog tag for 6 years straight, and still do, and probably always will. Um, but that's not a bad thing. Like, we've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, and we're only getting better by the day. So, like, I've stopped looking at what other people are doing as well. Like, that at the start, it was like, oh man, we're so
Oh
far behind
yeah,
these guys, and like these guys are doing
yeah.
that. And it's like, the more I did that, the less Fractal was moving forward. So
Uh
I've
huh.
just like fully like shut all that out, and underdog, not underdog, however you want to look at it, I don't really care anymore. It's just like, this is what we're doing. Who's on board?
Yeah. Oh, I think that's huge. That's a big thing that I think a lot of people miss is that even when I feel like we were building Believe in the Run, when it's starting to gain some traction, I still felt like there was a thing where we were trying to emulate certain things,
Yeah.
but do it our way, but not completely our way. And then I felt like we went all in on, oh, this is just what we think we
Mm,
should, this is just ours, not comparing us to Runner's World or like another review site or like these shoe Instagrams, just being like,
yeah.
we're just going to do what we do.
Yeah.
I felt like that's when it really took off. And that's honestly the best way to do anything. I think a lot of people get way caught up in what other people are doing or what's cool or like the
Mm,
algorithm at the time or what's like hitting, and you have to really keep a straight line forward or else you'll just get distracted the whole time and just try to be something that you're
yeah.
not really.
100%. And it took a while to work that out. But there's every single day there's new hat brands popping up with the exact same styles, and like
Oh yeah.
we have our custom side of the business, which is exceptionally popular and doing
Yeah.
really well. And like, I've seen websites here in Australia of other companies literally copying and pasting
So
our
yeah.
whole custom program and just offering the same. Like, it's like, we're doing well because people are buying into the brand now, but it's like, man, like,
Yeah.
you could at least put that into AI and change the copy. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Right. Oh yeah, no, it's the same thing where we'll do something and we'll see someone else write a headline that's mostly pretty much identical or the same type of post or setting or whatever, and it's you just I guess just take it as a compliment, and then but it
Mm.
keeps you on your toes. You gotta keep keep trying to stay ahead.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, it keeps you nimble, but at the end of the day, I think, like you said before, if you stay in your lane and be true to yourself, you're halfway there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much what I always say is just the three things. I feel like authenticity, consistency, and community. I feel like those are the three
Mm,
things. I was I was, I was talking to someone recently about that, but yeah, I think those are like the three key things, like right now at least, to growing something.
yeah.
Um, and I think that's what for Believe in Run that was huge because authenticity was just like I just said, we're going to be who we are.
Mm,
Consistency, you just show up every day. That's why we do a podcast every week. Since our first episode of the podcast, we did a podcast every week, even when
yeah.
we were getting 100 listeners, even when it seemed like wasn't. It was just a waste of time almost.
Mm.
And then that just grew. Like, you just, as long as you're consistent, your people will find you. You'll find the way to do it better, and it all comes together. And then again, community is, you have to find that group of people and then really like care about them. Like this is our people. This is who we're, providing either the podcast for, or the shoe
Mm.
reviews, or our virtual summer and winter grit, and do it for them, really. And if you can do all those three things, you're pretty much bound to be successful. I'm not going to say you'll be a
No.
millionaire or multimillionaire, but that's not how I measure success anyways. So if you'll be able to do what you love, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really valid, and I think that's very similar to how we've got to where we are. And you might have seen at the start of this year, we took a leap into the deep end and did an equity crowdfund. So we had
Yeah, I
bootstrapped it
saw
for
that.
6 years, and very much to what you just said. Then it was like, okay, we're at a really cool point, but we need cash to go that next level,
Mhm.
and we put ourselves out there. Like, it was the first time really in that 6 years that I went back to being in front of the camera, spoke to the community that we'd built, and was just tried to be. I was just as authentic as I could be, and was like, "Hey, this is
Mhm.
Fractal. This is what we're trying to do. Who's on board?" And yeah, it was crazy, and we hit our maximum target of what we're trying to raise.
Yeah.
400 investors came on board, so it was super impressive and rewarding to see the community back our vision from that perspective, and it just showed
Yeah.
that being authentic and consistent paid off.
Yeah, I almost jumped on board on that, but I thought it might be a conflict of interest, so I stayed away. But for real, I did.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, I watched the whole thing. It was cool.
Oh wow, oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, it's. I mean, I love that, and that's huge too. And again, same thing with community, and like if you have your community crowdfunding you, like, unless you're a piece of shit, you're gonna do the
Mm,
best. You're gonna do like the best job that you can do, because
yeah,
you don't want to let those people down, or yeah.
no, that's right. Now we got 400 members in Australia here that are all, well, they're all voices for us for a start. They're all great marketers in the real world, which is a great thing. But yeah, we
Mhm.
we now have a duty of care for those people, and trying to make sure that they do well with their investments. So
Yeah.
yes, it's exciting to see where it'll take us.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see as well. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I believe in the run. I feel like because we're a small business, still feel like, even though we feel like we've done well, we still feel like, the, not the little guy, but just like the startup feeling.
Yeah.
And I, I always make it a point. I feel like we always make it a point to a spotlight or highlight a lot of the smaller running brands where,
Mm,
maybe the bigger publications won't touch because you're not going to spend 5 grand on one of their award badges, or like,
yeah.
you don't have you do have affiliate links, but but to us, that's never mattered.
Mm,
Like, if a company's just starting out, like a Treyu, we've always tried to like highlight what they were doing in the beginning, or like Fractal or Say Sky or Miler Running or Band, anyone. Um, it's like, to us, it's just what's cool. We love when people taking risks, doing new
mm.
things, and I feel like that's, perfectly describes kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's an interesting space and I've learned this in the last few years. Is there's belief in the run, but there's, like you said, there's the bigger guys in the media, and how you approach it as a smaller brand. Like, some of them will look at you, some won't, and it's like return on investment. Like, is it worth giving these guys $5,000 for their rewards badge, and who's
Mhm.
watching them, and how authentic is that? And yeah, it's an interesting space to be marketing.
Yeah, yeah. Behind the scenes, in a lot of situations, there's some pay to play stuff that I would say the
Mm,
average person doesn't know goes on, and maybe might not be a direct sponsorship, but there's stuff. I just got like a weird thing in my face. It's like a hair floating around right in front of me. But yeah, not direct sponsorship, but just like an interesting way. You kind of gotta jump through some hoops sometimes to get your brand in front of some people, depending on the publication. Which I feel like, honestly, like as long as we've always just been like, hey, if something's cool, we'll go for it. Like,
Yeah.
is it? And it might not be worth it on the balance sheet if you go dollars to cents, but there's so much value. There's a deeper value in building connections and brands, that authenticity type thing, where all those major corporations or all those corporate conglomerates that like publishing conglomerates, they all have they have investors that they got to show up for the bottom line, you know. And if a thing doesn't make sense, they're just gonna cut it. Like one of my favorite examples is Runner's World used to have an awesome podcast called The Human Race, and then just the Runner's World podcast. They're both really great. And then once they were bought out by Hearst, they just like cut both of them off, like chopped them.
Right.
Because it didn't make sense dollars and cents wise. But from a community perspective and a brand perspective, I felt like there was a lot of value in that, because they were doing podcasts before,
Podcasts were a thing. Yeah.
They were big, but it wasn't like big like it is now. And if they would have stuck with it, would have been such a valuable part of their brand. But because you have the higher ups looking at just dollars and cents.
Yeah.
And I don't know this is for sure why, but I'm 99% sure why, because as soon as I got bought out, they cut them off. And that's sad, because that was, I feel like, a good part of the running community. I feel like it's super valuable in building trust, and like our podcast, especially in the beginning, I would say for the first couple of years, it wasn't worth anything. If you actually took the time spent to, dollars in value, there was pretty much nothing there. But because you just kept at it and you built this community and became a part of everyone's Friday routine or Monday routine, then it's like a valuable, it like holds the whole pie together in a way. And I just feel like that's one of those things you don't see if you look at a balance sheet,
No, yeah. It's a really key thing. I think value to the community is highly underrated, and a lot of brands are probably doing it the wrong way. Like just because it's not making you $1 doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to be doing as a business. It's kind of the opposite, to be honest. Which again, going back to our journey, I think that's been the reason to our successes. It's never been a money-driven adventure from day one. It was community first, making money second, and patience. So that's how we've survived.
Yeah, that's good. That's cool, man. Well, I'm excited for you guys. I won't keep you too much longer. What time is it over there? It's like early. You just woke up right before this, right?
Yeah, I can hear the kids probably getting breakfast out as I speak. So the day's about to start. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll let you get to dad duties. I know how that is. So,
yeah.
Anyways, man, it was great talking to you. If you're listening to the podcast, definitely check out Fractel. We'll put the links in the description. We have some roundups on the website. The Robbie Raccoon signature Legionnaire would be on sale. I'm not sure when this podcast is coming out. It's when we're gonna have it out. So, yeah, if you follow us, you'll see it.
Oh yeah, definitely keep your eyes out on the social media and on the website, because it's going to be a pretty cool little product drop, this one.
It's definitely something it's so uncool. It's cool. That's like the perfect description.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Matt. It's good talking to you.
Thanks, Robbie. Cheers.